Hi, ladies. My name is Angela Mancini, and my story starts when I was 19 years old. See, I got married to my husband at 19 after we had known each other for a grand total of 4 months. And to be honest, when I entered into my marriage, I was a very hurting individual. I really did not know how to love myself well, and I feared rejection so much. And what that ended up doing was I brought a lot of lies into my marriage, a few really big ones. And as you know, when you try to build a life or start a relationship that has a foundation of lies, a lot of destruction happens. My husband also came into our marriage with some identity struggles of his own. And so we really, for the first few years of our marriage, sowed a lot of seeds of just chaos and destruction. And so the hardest year of my life, really the worst year of my life, came around about 3.5 years into our marriage. I was 23 years old, and by this point we had my son Daniel and my son Caleb. Caleb was 2 and Daniel was just a few months. And at this point in our life, my life was an absolute wreck. My husband and I were just coming off of a really big bump in our marriage, and I was learning to trust Jeremy with some mistakes that he had made. And we were in absolute financial distress. I mean, if it had not been for the kindness and the generosity of my mother-in-law, who allowed us to come move in with her into her basement, we literally would have been homeless. I was dealing with a chronic illness that had flared up really badly, and so it cost me my job, and also I was going for a paramedic license, and in the very last month I was forced to drop out. And so we picked up our little family and we moved from my hometown of Champaign-Urbana 3 hours north into the Chicagoland area. And these were some really hard months, because it was at this phase that I kind of looked at my circumstances around me and I felt like such a failure. I mean, I watched my friends and my other family members that were going off and graduating from college and going off and having a career, and I realized that a lot of the reasons why I was in the position that I was in was because of bad decisions I had made, mistakes I had made, lies I had told that landed me here. And it was a few months of really depression and hopelessness and feeling so alone and just trying to survive that led me to a breaking point. And we say sometimes in the baton pass that there are ladies that are living in this quiet desperation. And that was 100% where I was. I just felt like there was truly no joy in my life, and that I added no value to anyone around me. I had these 2 little boys that I found no joy in mothering. That was how depressed I was. And I don't know if you've ever felt that place, like you're backed into a corner, like you feel hopeless, and it may be because of lies that you've told, or a relationship that has deteriorated, or just a tragic decision that you've made. But I understand that breaking point, that hopelessness. And so one night, in the middle of the night, I hit a wall, and I just fell down to my hands and my knees, and I literally pressed my head to the ground, and I just wept before God. And I just surrendered every part of my life. I just told him how ashamed I was, how hopeless I felt, how meaningless my life felt. And I apologized over and over for how far I'd gone and how long it had been since I listened to him. all these decisions that I had made, all these wrong decisions that I had made that led me to the place that I was. And I don't know if you've ever had those prayers. I was really scared when I dropped down to my knees. I think part of it was because I was so afraid that I was going to feel more heaviness and more shame, or maybe even worse, that there would be silence on the other end, that God had truly, truly rejected me, or that in light of his purity, in light of God's goodness, it would reflect to me how dirty and messy and ugly my life was. But that prayer of surrender just changed the trajectory of my life. See, I surrendered the vision for my life and the circumstances. I said, God, the only thing that I ever am a good wife and mother. I'll take it so long as you bless it and you give me joy. And I was amazed to find that in that very first prayer, instead of condemnation, instead of more shame, I felt God's embrace. And it was that tenderness that brought me back to him over and over in the next 9 months. See, in those 9 months, my external circumstances were not really changing. My finances were still a mess. My marriage was still rocky. But my internal world was changing dramatically. See, God was holding my soul, and he was piecing together bits that had been torn apart. That meaningless label, that failure label, God was piecing them together and